the NBA draft just concluded, fellas. There was a lot of guys who got drafted. As we know, it's 59 total selections between the first 2 rounds, or the only 2 rounds of the NBA draft. Um, and so a lot of young men had their dreams come true. But let's take a deeper dive into that, because I was reading some comments on like Twitter, and they were saying like this draft, or the draft in general, the NBA is becoming a rich man's sport. And they said that because they said a lot of the guys who were getting drafted, they just weren't like happy about being drafted this year. Like it was kind of like, thanks, like I knew it was gonna happen. Versus like in earlier years or past years, like guys have had like stories of inspiration of like I've had to grind for my whole life. My parents didn't have this, so I didn't necessarily have these tools to make it to the league, right? They said a lot of these kids today, like they've come from good backgrounds and like they had all they need their entire life, so this was kind of just another step for them. When y'all watched the draft, did y'all get that sense of like entitlement to a lot of these kids? I felt like when I was watching some of the kids, it's kind of like, I don't want to go to this team. I'm not gonna do this. And then like, I always have had a disdain for kids who are like, oh, I'm not going here. I'm not gonna do this. And it's like, you've never been a professional athlete. You've never had anyone choose you to pay you this kind of money, and you like have the nerve and the gall to like tell people where you will and will not go. I personally have a disdain with that. But I'm gonna let y'all give y'all's perspective of what y'all saw in this draft, and we'll kind of go do a little deep dive from there.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, John. I think like that's kind of the difference between what I saw with like the NFL draft and the NBA draft. Like, I remember watching, like probably five years ago, man. Like every first round pick, like 1 through 10, was like crying in tears, no matter where they went, because it was just like a blessing to get drafted.
Yes.
And I think this is like the impact that we're seeing with the NIL, because people
Mm-hmm.
are making money, and it's like, everybody's used to like that life changing money before they get into the NBA or NFL draft. I mean, you
That's
look at
true.
like Shador, like Shador went to the fifth round, but he comes from money, and he had a lot of money that he earned at Colorado. So him moving in the first round wasn't really like a big deal, because financially it wasn't going to really impact him as much. And I think for these NBA players, there's a sense of entitlement, and I think you have to understand just the percentage of people that actually make it to the league and actually stay in the league. Because you look at like
Mm-hmm.
Anthony Bennett, right? Anthony Bennett was the number one pick, but now nobody is really talking about him. He's playing like overseas. And I think we're losing that sense of like gratitude when it comes to like making it in any professional setting. And it scares me, because it's like, man, when you are burning bridges, especially like in, we'll talk about later with the Ace Bailey situation, you just never know where you're going to end up, because just because you get selected to a team doesn't mean you're going to stay there. And you're going to, GMs move, players move, coaches move. And if you burn those bridges now, it can affect you long term.
Yeah, I'm with you, Colin. Especially that last part with the burning bridges. I know that was something that you had mentioned the other day when me and you were on the pod. But like, that's something that a lot of kids, especially 18, 19, are not thinking about. They're thinking about in the moment. They're not thinking about 5, 10 years down the road. Maybe I'm not on the same team, and these same owners, these same GMs are in the same positions on other teams, and you don't want to ruin those relationships.
Yeah.
And to your point with the NIL, like, yeah, like that's a big part of it. Like these kids are making hundreds of thousands, maybe even millions in college before they even get to the league. So it's like, yo, a lot of people aren't even entering the draft and being one and dones. So we got to look at that part of it too. And then, as you mentioned with like Ace Bailey, like we'll get in that later, but just like we're in a different generation now. Like LeBron, Kobe, all that, like that's the past. Like these kids now, 2025, bruh, these kids don't be caring, bro. They don't be caring, bro. But it is some of them that still do. We heard VJ Edge come talking about how he grew up, not having electricity. So definitely, it's a few that's still grateful, excited for the opportunity. But like you said, it's always those exceptions.
Mhm.
Yeah, and that's a good point that Colin made with the NIL. I didn't even take it from that perspective, pretty much. But still, here's my thing, bro. Like, even if with that standpoint of I've made millions in college, that for me personally shouldn't change the fact that I mean you weren't gonna stay in college forever. That you don't have all that you don't have that kind of eligibility, right? So like the fact that an NBA team wants to bring you into their ranks and pay you to be a professional athlete, for me, should change. Like I don't care if you made $5 million while you was in college. To me personally, now once again, you look at a person who's never made $5 million in college. So I mean, I can maybe see their perspective and saying, well, I haven't. But let's be real, the NBA contract that you're gonna get is a lot more than $5 million as a first round pick, more than likely. Am I right? Or am I wrong? You probably get more than a $5 million signing bonus. You know what I'm saying? So like, my thing is this: money aside, because I get that that's a big piece, but your dream more than likely has come true of going to the NBA. So like for me, I'm like, I don't personally get that we should subscribe to like 2020. Oh, it's 2025. Kids should just not have to be happy. Nah, bruh. Like this is a lot of people's dream in life to be a professional athlete, to have this level of clout, to have this level of status, to have this to like be something that they've dreamed of playing a child's game on a professional level, meeting a lot of your people who you've looked up to or play AAU ball with, seen LeBron since you're a little kid on TV. Now you get to play with him either as a peer or as an opponent. Like you've had the opportunity now, and you're not taking it like. To me, it's just like, I'm gonna skip this workout. I don't want to go to this team. Like for me, it's too much. It's too much entitlement, personally. And I can't get with it. I really can't. I really have like a strong hatred. It's a hatred. I'm not even going. It's not even. It's past disdain because I'm like, how dare you? Like it's one thing. So I go back to this. Dion, when he was coming out, right? He was telling teams, "Hey, I'm not gonna work out for y'all because I'm not gonna be there at that point in the draft." It wasn't saying, "Oh, I'm not gonna like. I don't respect you as a team." He just knew his talent and the way his draft was looking. He's gonna be gone in the first 5 picks. Cool. It's one thing to say that versus you saying, oh, "I just don't want to play for y'all." That's crazy to me.
Hey,
To
I
me,
will
personally.
I will say though, John, like, and this is not the case for everybody, but like some organizations are bad organizations, bro. Like we have to be real. Like
Is the check gonna
we,
cash?
huh?
Is the check gonna cash?
Yeah, but still, bro. Like we saw with the NFL, bro. Like certain players don't want to go certain places, bro. As we
Yeah,
know, like when we look at franchises, bro, we know that some franchises are better ran than others.
indeed. I agree with that wholeheartedly. That's
So
true.
so so if a sorry team with a bad organization and bad leadership is trying to take me, and I don't want to go there, and I don't feel like that's the best opportunity for me to thrive as a player, I'm fine with people speaking out and saying they don't want to go to X, Y, and Z place.
And I think that's the difference between the NBA and the NFL though, because you know the NBA is running that lottery system. The NFL, the worst team is who had the first pick. So like it's like okay, if you don't want to be the first pick, what are you gonna do? Sit out a year? Like I'm confused. Like with versus the NBA lottery with the Dallas Mavericks who came in with a built roster and had the opportunity to go get Cooper Flag with the first pick. It's like okay, you have more choice in the matter, right? So I get that piece of it. But my thing is this: okay, cool. The Cleveland Browns had the first overall pick. You may not want to go to Cleveland, but you get to be first overall pick and you're going to the NFL. You're
Mm-hmm.
making millions of dollars coming from even if you made $5 million as a college athlete. The college NILs do not touch these NFL contracts as a
I,
rookie.
I hear you, but like it might not be about the money for them. Is my point. Like the money, cool. Like yeah, the money's different, but like it's about fit. It's about where you can go and where you can succeed. Yes, the money is more, but where can I go and be my best self?
How do I know you're gonna succeed? You ain't never played against pros. You've only played in college against guys who may be an accountant tomorrow. I'm
But
asking you to come in game one and play against LeBron. Like you telling me, oh, I don't have the right fit to do that? Like I'm confused. Talk to me.
I mean, you can look at the roster and see past drafts, past examples, previous examples of how first round picks were treated in said organization. It don't matter if I played it down or not. If I don't think that your organization is good enough to be ran to where I can succeed, I have the right to voice that opinion and say I don't want to go there.
I think like the bigger issue.
Answer this: Would you rather go to the Mavericks or the Wizards?
I mean, obviously the Mavericks.
Okay.
I think it's yes. You want to go to the best organization. If that was the case, everybody would try to hit up
No, I'm not. I'm not necessarily even saying like the best organization from like a success standpoint, but like you look at the way the Wizards are ran, bro. Like the Wizards are a bad organization, bro.
Hmm. Somebody got to go there.
It won't be me.
I mean, I think the bigger issue though is like both in the NFL and NBA, the problem is if you get drafted to a team, they essentially have you for like at least 5 to 6 years. Because with the NBA, you have the bird rights, so you can leave, but you'll be losing out on a lot of money. And with the
Yeah.
NFL, obviously, you have the what's
They
it
got
called?
the 4 year plus the player option for the fifth.
But you can franchise tag, especially if you're a quarterback or if you're a good player.
Yeah.
So like I feel like there has to be changes on that end. But I feel like it's a deeper problem than the NIL, John. Like I think the transfer portal is a big deal too because essentially every year you could transfer and pick the team you want. And from Ace Bailey's standpoint, ever since the beginning, like he didn't even stay at the same high school, so he's always been going to the places that he wants, essentially. And I
Hmm.
feel like that kind of culture is kind of like I know you and I were talking about this AAU culture where people are getting to put their teams together, and it's more so to feed into the players' preferences more than actually just grinding out where you are and just being the best wherever you're planted. Like I think that's kind of lost on just our entire generation, this next generation, and I feel like that's kind of feeding into the NBA because you got to think he went to Rutgers. Rutgers was terrible, but he was catered to his entire time there, and people were telling him that he was going to be a top 2 pick. And once you get into the NBA draft, you're like, okay, do I want to go phase out in Utah, or do I just want to go somewhere that I want that's close to home and I would have more likelihood of stardom and success? Because the teams that he wanted to go to, they weren't necessarily good teams. Like Washington was on that list. So I think it was past winning and money. I feel like it was a lot just preference and comfortability. And who was representing him too, which was terrible, but we'll get into that later.
Nah, that's
Yeah.
real. But like I said, like it's about fit. It's about clearly it wasn't about the money for him. It was about where he could go, get his shots up, and thrive. Like you said, he probably would have ended up in Philly.
Yeah.
He probably would have ended up in Philly. But what does that mean? Embiid, Maxi, PG, Jared
McCain.
McCain. So it's like I could go to Utah and I could ball out. Because who they got? Jordan Clarkson, Walker Kessler,
Laurie.
So you think
Laurie.
it's more about like trying to be a face of the franchise as a rookie versus like trying to be a part of a team? Because
I think
with that aforementioned, it's like okay, you mentioned the the system or the scheme or the team, but like with in Ace Bailey's situation, and we're switching over to that here, um, it's like okay, you got Washington on that list, so under this say like they're a terrible organization. So it's like okay, do I just want to go somewhere where I can just have my way, or do I want to go somewhere where with Philly I could potentially like be a winner? You know what I'm saying? And maybe not like early, but like with Embiid and they still got who else they got down there?
Maxi, PG.
Maxey and them. So like, okay, I want to be a part of something that I can build and like actually be a winner. Like,
Mhm.
what is the what's the consensus here? Like, I think that's my whole thing behind it. Like, do you want to win, or do you just want to be a guy? Like,
Well, I think
That's
for Ace, it's about having the ability to like play and shine and star. I mean, you go back to Collin's point. He went to Rutgers.
right? And they suck. So it's
Exactly.
like,
He probably could have went to Kentucky. He probably
but
could
did
have
he
went
go?
to
Did he start?
Arkansas.
Was he a
He could have
start
went to
Rutgers?
any of them blue blood schools.
Was he a start Rutgers?
Yeah.
yeah. I mean,
Did
he
they?
was good.
But yeah, but did he do anything to help them win? Like that's for me
I
being a
mean,
star. It's like it's more than you having 20 and 20. You have 20 and be and go 10 and 25. You to me you made no impact. You sucked.
John, John, that's not how that worked, brother. Because they had 2 top 5 picks on that team.
Yes, I saw this, but okay, cool. I get as an individual. Yes, you're good, but like, are you? Is that? That's what I'm saying. Are you
But
coming
see,
in just to continue to do that same thing and be sorry? Like, is that your whole
but see,
goal?
hey, some people want to get their stats and get their numbers.
Yeah,
It
To
might
me,
because the
not
thing
be
is,
about
people
winning
still
for him right now.
because I mean, like, yeah, to Hundo's point, like, you got to think, John, if he would go to North Carolina, he wouldn't have been able to like fully realize his potential. Scouts wouldn't have been able to see, all he's capable of doing. Rutgers, he had a lot of control. Like when you go to those bigger schools with bigger name coaches, like they're gonna force you to play in a role and you flourish in that role. I think he wanted full control, being able to bring the ball up, being able to take any shot on court that he wants to, so that he could show scouts what the fullness of his game was. And I feel like a lot of that was kind of Dylan Harper's standpoint too. And I think that's why they went 17 and 16, because they had a coach who pandered to their players and didn't actually run any offense. And I think that's one of the problems with this entitlement generation. It's like they're going where they want to, but they're not actually thriving because they're not central to a like they don't know what they are in the NBA because they don't have a certain role.
So, so just to make sure I'm understanding this correctly, it's not about winning. It's just about individual success.
Yeah.
I
Now that
think I
money
think
and
in Ace Bailey's standpoint, yes.
yeah.
Interesting concept. And that we're losing recipes. If that's the
No,
case,
I'm with you. I'm with you.
Yeah, we agree.
Me and Collin talk about this all the time, bro. Like, are you trying to win? Like, teams need to be out here trying to win, bro. So do players.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. Say less. That's interesting. That's an interesting theory, bro. Like boys,
I
we
mean,
don't want to win no more.
it's kind
That's
of like
crazy.
similar. It's kind of similar to Travis's situation. Like, obviously, Travis is a much better prospect, but he was only going places where he could play both sides of the ball. He goes to a bigger Power Five school. Nick Saban probably is not letting him do that. And I think a lot of players want that control because they think that that's going to be beneficial going to the next level to show the fullness of what they can do. But like, I mean, you look at some of these corners that are coming out and some of these just players, like you benefit from having good coaches and being in good programs because it forces you to stay disciplined. That's my biggest concern with Ace Bailey. It's like when you get into the NBA, you're going to be forced to do something well. Because if you can't do something well, then you're not going to be in the league a long time. Like you can go and drop 29 and 28 in Utah, but at the end of the day, like if you're going to play winning basketball, you're going to have to flourish in a role.
And I think that's my standpoint. It's like okay, cool. Like if you want to come and be an individual, I hear it. But like you went in, you can come in and we talked about this with the WNBA Hundo the other day, right? We talked about Paige's team is what 3-14 right now, but like she's leading for rookie of the year. It's like okay, how long like does that matter versus you being a winner? Like because at the end of the day, eventually you gonna have to switch and become a Jewel Lloyd and go to a system that's going to like are you going to be able to fit right like and so going back to Ace it's like okay cool you going to come in let's say you just go ahead and drop let's just say 20-7 20-8 as a rookie right you average that okay cool but Washington sucks or he's in Utah right now so Utah is not going to have the best record so it's like okay is that going to do you want that to be your career or do you ever plan on going to a team to where you can be a winner and based upon his current track record the answer is no he went to Rutgers.
Yeah.
And it's like, and as a grown man, I'll say this too: like, they're just not gonna let you just do what you want. Like, that's not how the NBA's run. That's not that's not how sports organizations at the professional level are just ran. They just unless you have proven once again that you can get it done, like a LeBron James, a Steph Curry, like KD. These guys who've earned that rank and earned that stain, you don't just get the keys to the kingdom as a rookie and just say, "Oh, go do what you want." That's not how that works. So it's like at some point you have to lock in and learn how to be under somebody's control. And not necessarily control, but under somebody's coaching and tutelage and like be a part of the system and learn how to play that way versus you playing, oh, I don't want to go there because they're not gonna let me do what I want to do. You're a grown man.
I will say people have made careers off of like the opposite mindset that we have of like doing what they want to do, playing for who they want to play for, and being on sorry teams. Like we've literally seen a number of people chase money over an opportunity to win a championship and go to better teams.
Indeed. Yes, we have. But those players also have had to fit into like systems at the same time. Like at some point in their career, Hundo. Like you can't just be like,
and they ain't win.
That's true. That's what I'm saying.
And you got to pan out. You got to walk
exactly.
the walk.
Hey, now what? Like you said, Collin. What will be crazy is if he come in the league and be a bust. Now that's gonna be hilarious. Don't be a bust, Ace Bailey. You did all of this.
Yeah.
You better be like that. That's all I.
We're gonna
That's
see
all I
this
want to say.